You're welcome to the Gavel. I'm Linda Kibe. On Thursday, 21 Chibok schoolgirls were released after more than 2 years in captivity in the hands of members of the Boko Haram sect. Their release was after negotiations between government and the sect members and was brokered by the Swiss government and the International Red Cross. Senate President Dr. Bukola Saraki hailed the release of the Chibok girls, but asked that Nigerians must continue to unite and insist on the safe return of the remaining Chibok girls still in the hands of the Boko Haram sect members. We spoke with a federal lawmaker, Senator Shehu Sani, who was on a team put together by the previous administration to negotiate the release of the girls, to get his thoughts on the recent development.
Well, I was not surprised that the girls were released, in the very sense that I'm speaking from an informed position, from an insider position, one who designed the framework for the negotiation and then for the eventual release. I must say it factually that I was the one who brought the Swiss into the negotiating and dialogue process. I was also the one who reached out to the ICRC. Now, the reason for bringing in the Swiss is that we need a neutral country that will provide guarantees to both sides, the one which will be trusted by the government and also the one which will also be trusted by the insurgents. Negotiations in the past failed because of lack of trust and confidence by those who were set to negotiate. So bringing in the Swiss is to provide a level playing ground. Swiss being known to be a country that has been very neutral. And then the ICRC is to play the role of a supervisor, or one who will implement the terms of agreement of these discussions. So you have three sides now. You have the government at one side, the insurgents, and then the mediators. Now, this was achieved. This started from 2014, but there were a lot of obstacles. The last government was not much committed towards fully implementation of the terms of the negotiation for the release of these girls. Yes.
So going forward, we still have many more of these girls still in captivity. What are we supposed to expect going forward? How do we get these girls released?
You see, what kept these girls for so long was the very fact that there was internal sabotage in the last administration, and also the head of security personnel in the last administration were only interested in benefiting from the process, and they thrive by the continuity of the conflict, and also they see the freedom for the Chibok girls as a possible end to that very profitable line for which they have committed themselves to. And to the very fact that now it was achieved because the new government knew very well that its credibility, integrity, and image is hinged on their ability to achieve freedom for these Chibok girls. The remaining girls will definitely be freed, in the sense that the freedom for the 21 is confidence building for both sides. And then we are certainly going to achieve the release of the next set of Chibok girls. But what I want us to always look back is the very fact that these girls have suffered enough. And we should still be guilty for being unable to get them freed for as long as the very time which they were picked up. So I am very much confident that the next set of girls will be released in not very long time to come.
Following the sting operations carried out last weekend by the Department of State Services, where several judges were arrested, the House of Representatives is to investigate what it terms the invasion of property and arrest of persons by the service since May 29, 2016. The Senate is also condemning the midnight invasion, arrest and detention of the judges by the DSS, and is also looking into the laws setting up security agencies in the country.
It's an operation that has stunned the country. A midnight raid by officials of the Department of State Services to the homes of serving judges in different parts of the country. At the resumption of plenary, federal lawmakers in the Senate made their positions known on the matter.
As contained in the law, the Directorate of State Security Service has no powers to investigate or arrest people in respect of crimes other than crimes against internal security. So the action of the State Security Service is ultra-vires, unconstitutional, illegal, and null and void.
To go in the wee hours of the morning and jump into the house of a public officer in this country and use hammer and chisel to break into such a house of any person who is a human being in this country, not to talk of a judge, is condemnable. And this is a tyranny of the highest order. Dictatorship, unguarded dictatorship. If the action over the weekend is within the envelope of normalcy, it will not have generated this situation. That is why we say law and order. So what technically it means is that something somewhere has gone wrong.
It's time for the Senate to take a position.
Those in favor of prayer 2, say aye. Aye. Those against, say nay. Nay. The ayes have it.
The recommendation that the Senate should summon the Director General of the DSS, Mr. Lawal Daura, to explain the reason behind the invasion of homes and arrest of judges did not sail through. The Senate, however, directs its Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters to review all existing laws establishing security agencies and report back in 4 weeks. Meanwhile, in the other chamber, the matter is introduced as a motion of urgent national importance. The sponsor asks the House of Representatives to investigate the invasion and arrest of judicial officers for alleged corruption and similar incidents by the Department of State Services.
The House is conscious of the powers of the SSS as enumerated in sections 2, subsection 3 and section 6 of the National Security Agencies Act 1986, which does not include the investigation and prosecution of corruption and abuse of office. The House is alarmed that the affected judicial officers had never been invited for questioning by the SSS before the sudden invasion and arrest was carried out. The House recalls past incidences of similar invasion and arrest by the SSS, including the Akwa Ibom State Government House, Ekiti, and Zamfara State House of Assembly for matters unrelated to its lawfully prescribed duties.
It appeared a heated debate would follow, but the Speaker suggested that the motion should be put to a vote without a debate.
I don't want members to prejudge or make statements that would defeat the intents of the investigation that we're going to conduct. If you allow me, I'll plead with us to hold on until this investigation is done in line with the prayers of the motion. Then we're better informed as to whether rules have been broken, laws have been broken, and then we can say, or we can now make contributions, very enlightening contributions to the debate. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those against it say nay. Nay. The ayes have it.
The House resolved that an ad hoc committee should be set up to investigate all cases of invasion of property and arrest of persons for reasons outside the general duties of the Department of State Services. The committee will have 6 weeks to complete its investigation.
Nigeria turned 56 2 weeks ago, and it was a time for stock-taking and evaluating how far we have come as a nation. Well, analysts say it is time too for the National Assembly to take stock of its contribution to the development of the country. Since the restoration of democratic rule in 1999, the National Assembly for the first time has enjoyed a stretch of uninterrupted legislative activities. In spite of a series of scandals, leadership crises and allegations of corruption, the parliament still stands. A parliament Nigerians see as a symbol of democracy. The Constitution in Section 88, subsection 1 states the powers of the National Assembly, namely lawmaking, oversight, and in matters relating to expenditure and accountability, inquisitional powers. However, some lawmakers say many Nigerians still do not understand the functions of the parliament.
The duties, the separate duties and functions, Nigerians are yet to really appreciate it very well. I say this because even as a member of parliament, the National Assembly, you go to your constituency, people present you with programs that ought to have been presented to the executive. They ask you, what is your program on roads, on rural electrification, water, everything, things that ordinarily are within the purview of the executive.
When President Buhari was sworn in on May 29, 2015, he promised to give priority attention to the economy, security and power. President Buhari also promised to work with the National Assembly to realize these objectives. But the leadership crisis in the first year of the 8th Assembly put the presidency and the National Assembly on a collision course and consequently affected legislative work.
All these instabilities led the constitutional committees impacted too bad on them. And it took time before they were able to, find a level ground, to be able to commence operations.
While oversight activities suffered, the economic situation in the country worsened.
All the economic indices that shows that we as a nation, our continuous existence is not, our going concern is not in doubt. All of these indices has gone down the drain. And coupled with the fact that the National Bureau of Statistics came out and said, yes, Nigeria is in economic recession.
The power situation in the country did not fare any better as generation dipped to new lows.
The problems in this power industry are just too many. Again, government needs to invest so much in power. Government owes a lot of these companies, running into hundreds of billions of naira. Unless government comes out with deliberate measures to set or to sort out these liabilities, will continue to remain where we are.
However, a public analyst says the National Assembly has not taken seriously one of its cardinal functions, which is oversighting the executive.
I don't think the National Assembly has actually done much on the issue of oversight. Looking at the 2016 budget, which is being implemented now, it's obvious that that budget has not been fully implemented. In fact, the implementation level, as far as I'm concerned, has not reached up to 30–40%. And then the question is, what has the legislature done, to be able to ensure that, to shock the executive, to ensure that the budget is properly implemented, based on the provisions of the budget, based on the appropriations they have done.
Nevertheless, lawmakers say they would pay more attention to oversighting government agencies as their own contribution to addressing these challenges.